Beloved chosen one, something sacred has shifted around you because you finally stopped wrestling with what God was asking you to release. And in that quiet surrender, in that deep place where your pride could no longer pretend and your fear could no longer lead, heaven smiled over you with joy. You may not have heard thunder. You may not have seen a sign written across the sky. The room may have looked the same. The people around you may have continued acting as if nothing had changed. Yet in the spirit, everything changed when you laid down the burden of trying to control what was never yours to carry. God smiled because you finally did what your soul had been resisting for far too long. You yielded. You softened. You stopped forcing doors, chasing dead things, and clinging to what looked familiar but no longer held grace for your future. There is a holy beauty in the moment a chosen life stops fighting divine direction. That is the moment when pressure begins to lose its grip. That is the moment when confusion starts to break apart. That is the moment when peace, not because every battle is over, but because your heart is back in alignment, begins to settle inside you like morning light entering a dark room. For a long time, you carried the weight of having to make everything happen by your own strength. You tried to hold together what was cracking. You tried to rescue what God was allowing to fall. You tried to explain yourself to people who were never assigned to understand you. And all of that striving exhausted your spirit. It made you feel as though silence meant abandonment and delay meant denial. But now you are beginning to see that God was never absent. He was waiting for your surrender, not to punish you, but to bless you with the freedom that comes when you finally trust Him more than your own panic. This is why heaven rejoices over your obedience, not because you became perfect overnight, not because you suddenly reached some flawless spiritual height. God smiles because your heart turned. God smiles because you said yes where you once said later. God smiles because you chose trust where fear had built a throne. The chosen are not marked by never struggling. They are marked by returning, by yielding, by hearing the call of God even through tears and fatigue and disappointment, then answering with an open spirit. That is what you have done. You may have done it trembling. You may have done it after many nights of inner war. You may have done it with questions still rising in your mind. But you did it. And that matters more than you realize. There are moments in a spiritual life that look small to the world but echo loudly in eternity. A prayer whispered when no one is watching. A habit finally broken. A toxic attachment finally released. A need for human approval finally surrendered. A stubborn plan finally placed at God's feet. These are not little moments. These are altars. These are turning points. These are the places where chains begin to weaken and purpose begins to breathe again. You have reached one of those places. That is why this message finds you now. This is not coincidence. This is divine confirmation that what you released was not lost. It was offered, and what is offered to God in obedience always returns with greater glory, greater clarity, and greater peace. You have been carrying more than most people know. There were battles inside you that never made it into conversation. There were tears you hid. There were disappointments you swallowed because you were tired of explaining pain to people who only wanted polished answers. Yet through all of that, something holy remained alive in you. The call did not die. The light did not go out. The hand of God never moved off your life. Even when you felt delayed, you were still chosen. Even when you felt overlooked, you were still seen. Even when you felt stretched beyond what was fair, heaven still had its eye on you. And now the smile of God rests over the place where resistance once lived. Because your surrender has made room for divine movement. Do not underestimate what happens next. Surrender is not the end of your story. It is the end of unnecessary warfare. It is the end of wasting strength on battles God never told you to fight. It is the end of begging for what no longer belongs in your next season. When you surrender, you do not become weak. You become available. You become teachable. You become positioned. The hand that was clenched in survival begins to open in trust, and an open hand is ready to receive what a clenched hand could never hold. This is why your spirit has been feeling the shift. Something in you knows that the old way cannot continue. Something in you recognizes that obedience has opened a gate that force never could. So breathe deeper now. Let your soul settle. Let the noise lose its power. Let the old urgency to prove yourself fall to the ground. God is not asking you to perform for love you already carry. He is not asking you to beg for a calling He already placed within you. He is asking you to remain yielded, to stay near, to keep your heart soft, and to walk forward without grabbing back the very thing you placed in His hands. If this witness is reaching your spirit, comment 777 as your sign that you are no longer fighting God's process but flowing with it. What heaven celebrates in you today is not noise. It is not image. It is not appearance. It is your real yes, your private yes, your costly yes, your trembling but honest yes. That yes has become a fragrance before God. That yes has become a doorway into peace. That yes has become the beginning of a new chapter. And from this point forward, you will start to understand that when God smiled in joy over your life, it was because you finally trusted Him enough to let go and let Him lead. And when that surrender settles into you, it does not leave you standing in an empty field. It leads you into the deeper understanding that many of God's greatest works begin in places that feel hidden, unfair, and painfully silent. That is why your spirit can recognize something of itself in Joseph, not as a distant figure from an old story, but as a living mirror of what it means to be carried by purpose while everything around you seems to speak the language of delay. Joseph does not begin in applause. He begins in betrayal. He begins as the one marked by a dream that others cannot bear to hear. He is misunderstood before he is celebrated. He is rejected before he is elevated. He is thrown into a pit before he ever stands in a palace. And that pattern matters, because it reveals a truth your heart needs right now. Being chosen does not always look like immediate favor in the eyes of people. Sometimes it looks like being set apart so deeply that even your suffering becomes a classroom for destiny. You know something about that hidden classroom. You know what it is to carry a promise and still walk through confusion. You know what it is to feel that God has shown you something real, yet the road toward it becomes darker before it becomes clear. Joseph knew that pain. The coat that once marked him with affection could not protect him from envy. The dream that came from God did not keep him from the pit. And still, the pit was not proof that God had changed His mind. It was not the burial place of purpose. It was the first hard chamber of preparation. That is where many chosen ones lose heart, because they assume that hardship means separation from God. But Joseph's life whispers the opposite. God can be closest when circumstances appear most cruel. God can be shaping a throne while your hands still feel the dust of a prison wall. This is why you must not despise the hidden season you have walked through. You have been learning endurance where no one clapped for you. You have been learning restraint when you could have spoken from bitterness. You have been learning trust while answers stayed out of reach. And heaven sees every one of those lessons. The quiet days were not empty. The lonely nights were not wasted. The doors that shut did not cancel your assignment. They deepened your roots. They stripped away the need to be validated by people who never held your future. They taught you how to hear God's voice under pressure. They taught you how to remain tender without becoming weak. They taught you that your identity cannot depend on who left, who doubted, or who misunderstood the oil on your life. Joseph also teaches you something else that is holy and difficult. The chosen are often prepared in rooms where they could easily become bitter, but instead they become wiser. That is a miracle in itself. To remain open after betrayal is a miracle. To remain faithful after false accusation is a miracle. To keep your spirit from rotting in disappointment is a miracle. Yet this is the kind of work God has been doing in you. He has not merely been trying to bless you on the outside. He has been cleansing, strengthening, and steadying you on the inside. He has been shaping the kind of vessel that can carry weight without collapsing under it. Because when your hour comes, you will need more than talent. You will need depth. You will need humility. You will need the kind of inner authority that can only be formed when no one is watching but God. So when you remember your own difficult chapters, do not name them failure too quickly. The pit did not define Joseph. The prison did not define Joseph. They revealed what was in him. They became part of the path by which God prepared him to hold influence without losing his soul. In the same way, the place that tested you has also trained you. The pain that tried to break your confidence has also driven your roots deeper into God. And now, there is a growing steadiness in you that was not there before. You are less impressed by appearances, and you are less driven by panic. You are learning to recognize the difference between noise and calling, between urgency and divine timing, between human attention and heavenly approval. If this message is strengthening your spirit, let it settle deeply. And if you feel led, like this message, share it with someone who is still in their hidden season. Subscribe so you stay connected to this flow of encouragement. And if you want to help support this work, you can donate through the link in the description. Because sometimes one message carried at the right moment can keep a weary soul from giving up right before purpose begins to unfold. And that is where you stand now, not at the end of silence, but at the point where silence has already done its work, not outside of purpose, but inside the shaping of it. Joseph's story keeps moving, and so does yours. And as Joseph's story keeps moving, you begin to see that the hidden season was never only about surviving pain. It was about becoming the kind of person who could carry weight without breaking under it. And that is where this message meets you again with unusual tenderness. Because many chosen ones think the hardest part is the pit, or the betrayal, or the prison, when sometimes the hardest part is staying inwardly alive while God prepares a future you cannot yet touch. Joseph had to learn that the dream was real even when the evidence looked completely wrong. He had to keep his inner world from collapsing while the outer world kept shifting under his feet. He had to keep listening beneath disappointment. He had to keep his spirit from becoming dull. That is a word for you now. Because your battle has not only been about external pressure, it has also been about mental fog, emotional fatigue, and the slow weariness that comes when you have carried too much for too long. There are seasons when the chosen are not defeated by one dramatic event. They are worn down by accumulation. Too many thoughts, too many burdens, too much noise, too many inner questions that never fully leave you alone. And in that state, even people with deep purpose can begin to feel disconnected from their own clarity. They can still love God and yet feel mentally scattered. They can still believe and yet struggle to focus. They can still be faithful and yet feel like their inner sharpness has gone quiet beneath the weight of daily strain. Joseph knew something of that pressure, even when the hand of God was with him. He still had to live through long stretches where the promise was not visible. He still had to interpret the meaning of events while his own life seemed unresolved. He still had to wake up in confined places with a gift that had not yet opened the door. That kind of season can challenge the mind as much as the heart. It asks you to hold your peace while life feels suspended. It asks you to stay receptive when disappointment would rather make you numb. And one of the enemy's quietest strategies is not always to destroy your calling outright, but to cloud your clarity until you start moving through life in a haze, disconnected from your spiritual strength, your mental alertness, and your confidence to respond when the moment finally comes. But God does not prepare chosen people only through hardship. He also restores them through alignment. He knows that your mind matters. He knows that your focus matters. He knows that if your thoughts are always fragmented, your energy constantly drained, and your inner life buried under stress, then it becomes harder to recognize the open door when it appears. This is why your restoration is not shallow. It is not cosmetic. God is not simply trying to make you feel inspired for a moment. He is bringing you back into wholeness. He is healing the places where chronic pressure reduced your expectancy. He is clearing the static. He is teaching you how to dwell in greater peace so your spirit can hear more clearly again. That is part of what made Joseph ready when his hour came. He was not merely talented. He was composed. He was inwardly prepared. When the summons arrived, he could respond. When the moment opened, he was not too bitter to step into it. When interpretation was needed, he had enough clarity to speak with wisdom. That did not happen by accident. God had been forming him in silence long before the palace ever saw him. And in the same way, what God is doing in you is preparing your inner environment so that when movement begins, you are not still trapped in confusion from the last season. So let this settle into your soul. Your peace is not a luxury. Your mental renewal is not a side issue. Your clarity is not unimportant. These things matter because purpose often arrives quietly before it arrives publicly. It can come as instruction before it comes as elevation. It can come as insight before it comes as opportunity. It can come as a subtle turning before it becomes visible change. And if your mind is overrun, if your attention is scattered, if your nervous system is constantly strained, then it becomes harder to live with the steadiness this season requires. That is why some people have found tools that help them create a calmer and more focused inner space, and one that may be relevant to listeners dealing with mental overload, stress, lack of concentration, creative stagnation, or that heavy sense of brain fog is the Genius Wave, also called Genius Song. It is presented as a short audio experience designed to support focus, clarity, creativity, memory, and relaxation through brainwave entrainment, using sound patterns associated in its materials with theta and gamma states. It is described as something people use for a few minutes a day to help with feeling mentally sharper, less stressed, more centered, and better able to think clearly. If that is something you want to explore for yourself, you can check the official information in the description or the pinned comment. Please be careful with imitations and only use the official source if you decide to try it. And now you can feel the deeper meaning of it all. God was never trying to shame you through the waiting. He was shaping you through it. He was teaching your heart how to stay soft, your mind how to stay clear, and your spirit how to stay ready. What looked like delay was often protection. What felt like silence was often preparation. What seemed like loss was often the clearing of what could not follow you into the next season. So you do not move forward with fear now. You move forward with quiet strength. You do not chase what is not yours. You do not force what God has not opened. You stay steady. You stay prayerful. You stay awake in your spirit. Because the same God who carried Joseph through the pit and through the prison is the God who is carrying you through every hidden chapter of your life. And when your moment arrives, you will not need to become someone else to step into it. You will simply stand as the person God has been forming all along. That is the beauty of this season. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared, and heaven is still smiling, because your yes is still changing everything. And because your yes is still changing everything, heaven's response to your obedience is not distant, cold, or mechanical. It is deeply personal. God does not look at your surrender as a small adjustment. He sees it as the opening of a gate. He sees it as the moment your heart stops resisting the hand that has been trying to lead you into safety, maturity, and peace. That is why there is joy in the spirit over what you have done. You finally stopped treating obedience like a burden and began to see it as protection. You finally understood that when God asks you to release something, He is not emptying your life for cruelty. He is clearing your path for truth. He is removing what drains your oil. He is separating you from what confuses your hearing. He is restoring order where disorder tried to live as if it belonged. This is where many chosen ones become stronger without even realizing it. They think strength means pushing harder, speaking louder, proving more, and surviving every storm without trembling. But the deeper strength God loves to build is different. It is the strength to obey when your emotions still ache. It is the strength to stay soft when disappointment tried to turn you hard. It is the strength to keep walking in alignment after the crisis has passed and no audience remains to watch your devotion. That kind of obedience carries beauty. That kind of obedience makes heaven rejoice because it reveals trust that is no longer shallow. It reveals that your relationship with God is maturing beyond emergency prayers and becoming a daily posture of surrender. Joseph's life continues to whisper that truth with unusual power. There came a point when his story was no longer only about surviving hidden places. It became about carrying the right spirit inside visible places. The same Joseph who endured the pit and the prison had to remain pure in places of opportunity too. He had to remain faithful when temptation came wrapped in urgency. He had to remain clean in his choices when compromise offered immediate comfort. That is another reason heaven took joy in his life, not because the road was easy, but because his heart kept choosing alignment even when a shortcut stood near enough to touch. There is a reason your spirit has felt pressed lately whenever you start moving toward old habits, old attachments, or old forms of self-protection. God is not trying to make your life smaller. He is training your discernment. He is making you more sensitive to what steals your peace. He is teaching you to notice what once seemed harmless but now carries weight. This is part of growth. What you could once entertain without much thought now troubles your spirit more quickly. Because you are no longer where you used to be, your obedience has sharpened your awareness. Your surrender has refined your appetite. Your inner life is changing, and because of that, some things that once felt normal now feel heavy, distracting, and out of place. That is not punishment. That is evidence of transformation. It means your heart is becoming a better home for the presence of God. It means your soul is learning the difference between what comforts you for a moment and what sustains you in truth. It means you are no longer willing to trade long-term peace for short-term relief. And that is a holy shift. That is one of the quiet signs that a chosen life is coming into deeper alignment. The battle is not only about what leaves your hand, it is also about what loses permission to live in your mind, your habits, your atmosphere, and your private decisions. Joseph modeled that kind of inward government. Even before public elevation arrived, private discipline was already being formed in him. His character was being built in rooms where reputation could not save him. That is why when greater weight came, it did not crush him. He had already learned how to answer to God before answering to position. He had already learned that presence matters more than speed, and purity matters more than appearance. The Lord was with Joseph, and he became a successful man. Genesis 39, verse 2. Notice how the order works. Presence comes first. Success follows. God does not begin with visibility. He begins with nearness. He forms the inner life. Then he releases the outer fruit. That order matters for you right now. You do not need to chase signs that you are blessed while neglecting the presence that makes blessing safe. You do not need to force a public outcome while your private life cries out for healing. You do not need to panic because everything has not unfolded yet. If the Lord is with you, then what you need most is already in motion. If the Lord is with you, your hidden season is not empty. If the Lord is with you, your obedience is not unnoticed. If the Lord is with you, then every act of surrender is building a future stronger than anything fear could construct. So let yourself rest in that truth now. Heaven's joy over you is not based on performance. It rises from relationship. God delights in the heart that comes back, listens closely, and chooses the narrow path even when the wider road looks easier. That is what you are learning to do. And every time you choose that path again, the peace in you deepens, the noise around you weakens, and the life of God within you becomes more visible. This is how your next season is formed, not in frantic striving, but in faithful obedience that keeps saying yes after the first surrender, and then yes again when no one else can hear it. And once heaven opens what was waiting on your readiness, you begin to understand that some doors do not swing wide because of human effort alone. They open because your spirit has finally become able to carry what is on the other side. That is why this season feels different from the ones before it. You are not merely hoping for change now. You are being shaped to hold it. You are not merely asking God to move. You are becoming the person who will not waste the movement when it comes. This is what makes divine timing so holy. It does not only concern the arrival of opportunity. It concerns the condition of the soul receiving it. For a long time, you may have thought the greatest blessing would be speed. You may have imagined that if God had simply answered earlier, if the delay had been shorter, if the battle had ended faster, then life would have been easier and your heart would have rested sooner. But now you can look back with deeper wisdom and see that some things had to ripen. Some desires had to be purified and some attachments had to fall away. Some wounds had to heal enough that they would not shape your future decisions from a place of fear. The closed doors were not always rejection. Many of them were mercy. They kept you from entering spaces before your spirit was settled enough to walk through them with peace. This is one of the hidden mercies of God's leadership. He does not only protect you from enemies you can see, He protects you from premature entry, from answers that arrive before your character can support them, from access that would have fed your ego while starving your soul. The chosen often misread this at first. They think delay means distance. They think silence means God is withholding. They think resistance means the promise is fading. But over time, if they remain yielded, they begin to see another pattern. The promise remains, but the person carrying it is being deepened. The assignment remains, but the vessel is being strengthened. The door remains, but the hand turning the handle must become steadier. That is why the doors opening now cannot be measured by surface appearance alone. Some of them are inward doors, a new steadiness, a cleaner mind, a calmer response, a stronger boundary, a clearer sense of discernment. a deeper confidence that no longer depends on applause. These openings matter because they prepare you for the visible ones. Before a public door opens, there is often a private one. Before influence expands, wisdom deepens. Before restoration appears around you, peace takes root within you. God loves to build from the inside out, because that kind of building lasts. Joseph's life reveals this with quiet power. The palace was not the first open door. The first open doors were inside him. The door of endurance, the door of restraint, the door of discernment, the door of trust, the door of forgiveness. By the time the visible change came, many invisible changes had already taken place. This is why Joseph could stand in authority without being intoxicated by it. This is why he could interpret the moment without being ruled by revenge. This is why he could carry provision when others were overcome by famine. Long before the world saw elevation, God had already opened chambers in Joseph's inner life that made elevation safe. This is what your season is teaching you too. You are not waiting at a locked gate wondering whether God remembers you. You are standing in a holy process where inner doors are opening one by one, and each one is preparing you for what no man can permanently shut. Fear once had easy access to your thoughts, but now peace is entering more often. Confusion once ruled whole days, but now clarity begins to return in quiet waves. You once reached quickly for what numbed pain, but now your spirit wants what actually heals. These are openings. Do not dismiss them because they are not dramatic. Heaven does not despise small beginnings, and you should not despise them either. There is a scripture that fits this moment with beautiful strength. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. Revelation 3 verse 7. Let that settle into you slowly. If God is opening your next chapter, then human resistance cannot cancel it. If God is closing what no longer belongs in your life, then no amount of nostalgia can make it holy again. This is where peace grows deeper. You do not need to force what God has not touched. You do not need to resurrect what he has already ended. You do not need to fear every delay as if it means disaster. The hand of God is wiser than your urgency, and his timing is kinder than your panic. So stand differently now, not with arrogance, but with assurance, not with noise, but with rooted confidence. The chosen do not need to shout when heaven has already spoken. They do not need to keep pounding on doors that have no oil on them. They learn to walk with quiet discernment, trusting that the path marked by God will hold its own peace, its own clarity, and its own provision. That kind of trust changes the way you move. It changes what you chase. It changes what you tolerate. It changes what you grieve. It even changes how you wait, because waiting with revelation is no longer the same as waiting in despair. And this is why you cannot go back to the old way of living. You have seen too much now. You have felt the difference between striving and surrender. You have tasted the strength that comes from alignment. You know in your spirit that the life ahead cannot be built with yesterday's reflexes. It must be entered with cleaner vision, softer hands, and greater trust. If this reaches your heart, comment God opened it. What is before you now is not random. It is not luck. It is not a fragile coincidence that can disappear at the first sign of opposition. It is the beginning of a season where God teaches you how to walk through open doors without fear and through closed doors without resentment. That is maturity. That is peace. And that is why what opens now will not own you, because God has already been teaching you to belong to him first. And now you arrive at the place where clarity is no longer just something you hope for. It has become something you carry, not because every mystery has been solved, and not because every battle around you has fully disappeared, but because your spirit has learned what it means to stay anchored when life tries to pull you in many directions at once. This is the crown you are stepping into. It is not made of pride. It is not built from applause. It is not handed to you by the approval of people who once overlooked you. It is the quiet authority that comes when a chosen life has been refined by surrender, steadied by waiting, softened by mercy, and strengthened by obedience. There is a difference now in the way you stand. Before, you were asking for signs while still wrestling with fear. Before, you were praying for open doors while still carrying the habits of survival that belonged to an older season. Before, you wanted breakthrough, but your heart was still learning how to trust without constant reassurance. Now something is changing. You are no longer moving like someone begging heaven to notice you. You are moving like someone who knows heaven has been watching all along. You are no longer trying to prove that you are worthy of being called. You are beginning to live from the truth that God already placed His hand on you long before this moment became visible. That is why this final movement carries such peace. You are not stepping into your crown by becoming louder. You are stepping into it by becoming truer. You are not rising by pretending you were never wounded. You are rising because those wounds no longer rule your decisions. You are not becoming powerful by controlling every outcome. You are becoming powerful by remaining aligned with God when outcomes are still unfolding. This is the kind of authority darkness hates, because it cannot easily manipulate a soul that has stopped living from panic. It cannot easily distract a heart that has learned how to listen beneath the noise. It cannot easily defeat a person who knows that divine timing is wiser than emotional urgency. And because of that, your next season will not only bless you, it will reveal you. It will show you who you have become through every hidden yes, every private surrender, every moment you wanted to give up but chose instead to stay near the heart of God. There were times when you thought nothing was changing because the outside looked still. But heaven was recording every act of obedience. Heaven was watching every temptation you resisted, every bitter thought you refused to nurture, every time you came back to prayer instead of collapsing into despair. Those moments were building something. They were shaping a vessel that could carry peace without wasting it, influence without abusing it, and blessing without forgetting the one who gave it. So let this truth settle very deeply now. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified because the road took longer than you expected. The timing of God has a wisdom your former self could not yet understand. Some things had to break off. Some thinking had to be healed. Some attachments had to loosen. Some inner rooms had to be cleansed. And now, because of all that quiet work, you can carry this next chapter differently. You can enter it with cleaner motives, steadier hands, and a softer spirit. That is part of the glory of being chosen. God does not merely take you somewhere new. He makes you new enough to walk there in peace. And in this holy moment, a prayer rises naturally from all that has been formed in you. Father, thank you for every hidden season that did not destroy me, every delay that protected me, every closed door that kept me from stepping outside your will, and every act of mercy that brought me back when my heart was tired. Cleanse what still needs cleansing in me. Strengthen what still feels weak. Keep my spirit humble, my mind clear, and my heart close to you. Teach me to walk with wisdom when doors open and with peace when I still have to wait. Let my life reflect your presence more than my own striving. Guard me from pride, from fear, from false direction, and from every distraction that would pull me away from what you are building. And let the next season of my life bring glory to you in all that I say, all that I choose, and all that I become. Amen. This is the posture that will keep you whole, prayer will not make you smaller. It will keep you rightly aligned with the source of your strength. Humility will not diminish your authority. It will protect it. Peace will not make you passive. It will sharpen your discernment. The crown you are wearing in the Spirit is not decoration. It is assignment. It is responsibility. It is a reminder that your life must now move with greater intention, greater purity, and greater trust than before. And because messages like this often reach people in the exact hour they need them most, let your response be gentle but real. If this has spoken to your spirit, you can like this message. Share it with someone who is walking through their own hidden season, and subscribe so you remain connected to this stream of encouragement. And if you would like to support this work in a deeper way, there is a way to donate in the description. Sometimes the seed you release helps carry hope to another person standing on the edge of giving up. But beyond every response, the deepest invitation is this: keep going, keep listening, keep obeying, keep your heart open. The God who smiled over your surrender is still smiling as you rise. The God who carried you through the hidden years will not leave you in the revealed ones. The God who formed you in silence will know how to lead you in the light. And now, as this journey comes to its gentle close, let your soul rest for a moment in the truth that has followed you from the beginning. You were never random. You were never abandoned. You were never unseen. Even in the seasons that felt painfully quiet, God was still writing purpose into your life with a wisdom far greater than your understanding. Every surrender mattered. Every prayer mattered. Every act of obedience mattered. So take this peace with you now. Carry it into your morning. Carry it into your waiting. Carry it into your decisions, your healing, your conversations, and your next step. Do not rush to become what God is already forming with care. Do not doubt what heaven has already touched. Stay faithful in the small things. Stay soft in His presence. Stay awake in your spirit. What is ahead of you is not empty. It is prepared. And the joy of God over your life is not fading. It is still present, still near, still covering you as you move forward with humility, courage, and quiet authority. You are still chosen. You are still called. And your yes is still opening the way.